Start.
Good morning students, myself Usha Rani. So I am going to take a biology class today. So that is our first unit, which is called as human physiology, in that the neural control and coordination. So here the neural system, which is a well organized organ system in our human body, helpful for controlling and coordination of each and every systems. And next one, the neural system has been categorized into two regions, which is called central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system has been subdivided into brain and spinal cord, whereas the peripheral nervous system consisting of somatic neural system and autonomic neural system. The somatic neural system helpful for responding the stimulus of an voluntary muscles. So that involves an skeletal system, whereas autonomic neural system helpful for controlling and coordination of the stimulus of an internal organ that is called involuntary muscles. Again, so neural nervous system consisting of central and peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous systems are divided into autonomic and somatic. Autonomic nervous system, it was communicating the internal organs. Somatic, it was communicating the sense organs and even voluntary muscles. So autonomic neural system has been subdivided into two organelles called sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve fibers. In somatic neural system has been subdivided into sensory neurons and motor neurons. The sensory neurons, they are also called as afferent fibers, which is helpful for receiving the signals from the receptors to the central nervous system, whereas the motor neurons helpful for responding the response from the central nervous system into the effector region. So next one, the neural system, which is a well-organized system consisting of structural and functional unit called as neuron. So neuron helpful for receiving the signals, detecting the signals, and even the transmission of signals by the help of stimulus. So the neural system in an lower invertebrate has been formed in a simple conditions, that is example Hydra, and has been composed of a network of neurons. So whereas in the neural system in an arthropoda, that is for example insects, it has been formed by the brain and along with the number of ganglions and neural system. In the vertebrates, the neural system it has been well developed with organized system. So where the coordination is a process, so where it is helpful for interacting one, two or more organs that to show a specific function. So for example, when we are doing a physical works, all the system of our body was working with coordinate condition. So here the neural system, it always work together with an endocrine system. So we can call it as neuroendocrine system, that they function together by a process called as synchronized fashion. So here brain has been situated in a bony cavity that is called as skull. So it has been externally covered by a protective layers. The outermost layer, which is called as dura mater. The next it consisting of arachnoid matter. Next there is a subarachnoid space, and innermost layer which is called as parameter. So next to that the brain has been located. So these dura mater, arachnoid and subarachnoid and parameters, these three are togetherly called as meninges of a neural system. So here it is a diagrammatic representation, that is a sagittal section of a human brain, so which consisting of three regions called forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. The forebrain consisting of a cerebrum, which consists your convolutions, they are called as cerebral hemispheres, and the middle part which consisting of corpus callosum along with the thalamus region. So below posterior part of thalamus, it consisting of a stalk-like structure called hypothalamus. From that, the endocrine gland, which is called as master gland called pituitary, has been located. So next to that, it consisting of cerebellum, so brainstem, pons and medulla oblongata. It is a sagittal section of a human brain. So another one, that is called as cross section of spinal cord. The central nervous system, which consisting of brain, and another one is a spinal cord, which has been the transverse section of spinal cord. Here the diagrammatic representation was present. So this is an organelle that has been located throughout the vertebral column. So where centrally consisting of grey matter, externally covered by a white matter. The grey matter, it consisting of two neurons, that is motor neurons and sensory neurons. So where it was present in a spinal cord. So next to that, there is a lobes which are present in a brain. There is 4 lobes are situated. frontal lobe, parietal, temporal and occipital lobe. The frontal lobe, it is helpful for thinking, function, behavior and movement of our body. So whereas the parietal lobe, it is helpful for controlling the language and touch senses. The temporal lobe, it is helpful for hearing, learning and even of feeling. Occipital lobe, it is helpful for vision, it is called as sight. Whereas cerebrum, it is helpful for the maintenance of body balance and coordination of most of the endocrine glands. So whereas the brain stem, helpful for controlling the breathing rate, heart rate and temperature of the body. So next one, which is called as structural and functional unit of the neural system called as neuron. So here, neuron, there are three types: unipolar neuron, bipolar neuron and multipolar neuron. So the unipolar neuron usually consisting of a cell body and an axon that was present in an embryonic stage. Whereas the bipolar neuron, it has been situated in an iris region. This is the diagrammatic representation of multipolar neuron, which consisting of a cell body and where a centrally placed nucleus has been externally covered by neuroplasm along with nasal granules. The cell body was showing a longer projection which is called as axons, and the small projections they are called as dendrites. The axons has been externally covered by a myelin sheath made up of specialized cells called as schwann cells. The schwann cells are separated by a region named called as nodes of Runway. So the end region of a neuron, which is called as axon terminal, it has been terminated with a synaptic knob. So next one. So here the propagation of an action potential, where it has been described by the help of a neuron membrane. So neuron, it is a cell which has been externally covered by a plasma membrane. So here in the plasma membrane, it has been formed by a biphospholipid layer which was showing an polar and non-polar property. So here and there they consisting of an pores. They are helpful for the translocation of an selectively, which acts like a selectively permeable membrane. It was allowing only the ions which are necessary for transmission. So here the sodium, that is it has been denoted by Na+, which was impermeable, but it was permeable for K+ ions. So in this diagrammatic representation we can observe that. So this is a plasma membrane. So when it has been externally bounded by a layer and they consisting of an cations, that is a positive ions. So inside they consisting of an negative ions, they may be in the form of protein molecules. So when the concentration of sodium ions was less inside the unit, that is in a neuroplasm, when concentration was more outside, the movement of ions from lower to higher concentration, it needs an expenditure of energy that is called as an active transport. So when the neurons at a resting potential, by the mechanism of Na+ and K+ pump mechanism, it gets showing a conduction of nerve impulse. So in NCERT textbook, we are describing this concept by the help of this diagrammatic representation. So the next one is the transmission of signals from one neuron to another neuron that has been described by a process called as synapses. So this is the terminal region of an axon, that is an axon terminal. It was consisting of a knob-like structure called synaptic knob. It consisting of again small spherical shaped structure called synaptic vesicle, where again they are consisting of a chemical compositions called as neurotransmitters. They are also called as acetylcholine. So here the synaptic knob, it has been terminated with a presynaptic membrane, and next to that it consisting of postsynaptic membrane. So the space that was present between the presynaptic and postsynaptic membrane, which is called as synaptic cleft, where the neurotransmitters are released. So these neurotransmitters released are accepted by the receptors to transmit the signals from one neuron to another neuron. So next, there is a reflex action. So it is a process where it is an involuntary process. It was not under our consciousness. So it was responding with a specific stimulus. So when we suddenly withdraw our hand, if we suddenly touch a hot object, hot or cold, any pinch composition. So in this reflex action, the nerves and the skin detects the heat and passes the message through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. Then the information passes through the motor nerves to the muscles of the hand and we withdraw our hand. So next one, there is a reflex action that has been described by a diagrammatic representation. So when the hammer, the rubber padded hammer had been beaten over a knee, so without our consciousness we are withdrawing the leg back. So where the effector region when it was receiving, receptor region when it was receiving the signals in the form of beat has been transmitted to a spinal cord by the help of sensory neurons, whereas the motor neurons, it was responding back by taking the leg backward. It is called as effector. So in this schematic representation, we can describe that the stimulus, it may be in the form of heat, cold, pinch, so where it has been received by the receptor region, so that was detected in the skin of the hand. By the help of sensory neurons, it has been transmitted to spinal cord. So from the spinal cord, the motor neuron, they are showing the response in the effector regions, so where they are lifting the hand back. So next one, the sensory organs that they are present in our body, so mainly there is one eyes. So it has been located in there is a facial bone, so where it has been externally covered by a layer called as sclera. The anterior part of sclera, which is called as cornea, and the middle layer, which is called as choroid, and the inner layer is called as a retina. So in the corneal region, opposite to that, it consisting of lens, so where it has been controlled by an ciliary body along with iris. So there is an aqueous chamber that was present between the cornea and lens. So inside the retina, it consisting of vitreal chamber. Opposite to the lens, there is a blind spot was situated where the optic nerves has been arises. So above the blind spot, there is an fovea which has been located, commonly called as yellow spot. So another sensory organ, which is called as ear. So where it has been divided into three regions: external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. The external ear, which is called as pinna. The middle ear, which consisting of an external auditory canal along with the tympanic membrane. So the tympanic membrane helpful for receiving the sounds. So in the presence of air medium. So in here, malleus, incus, and stapes, these are the bones that has been togetherly called as ossicles that has been situated in the middle part. So where the eustachian tube from the middle region, it has been extended towards the pharynx. So opposite to the eustachian tube, it consisting of a spherical shaped organelle which is called as cochlea, which is helpful for receiving the sound and transmitting the sound to the nervous system through the help of cochlear nerves. So this is about the topic. So now let us discuss about some of the MCQs. There is an afferent nerve fibers that carries the impulse from. So the options, the afferent nerve fibers. So these are the fibers helpful for receiving the signal from the receptors to the central nervous system. We already discussed about that. The options that are given, there is an effector organs to central nervous system, receptors to central nervous system, and central nervous system to receptors. Whereas the next option, there is central nervous system to muscles. So the afferent nerve fibers, it was usually receiving the stimulus from the receptors to central nervous system. So the option that was given for first is B. Next one, there is a rods and cones, eyes or modified. Eye, it is a specialized structure helpful for sensation of vision. So where in the retina, they consisting of a specialized organs called as rods and cones, which consisting of photoreceptors. In the presence of light, they are receiving the object fluid completely. So where it has been formed by multiple neuron, unipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, and synapses. So here the eyes are usually composed of bipolar neuron. So where the cell body consisting of axons on either sides. So next option, there is a nerve transmitter produced at the synapse and neurotransmitter junction. So here the transmission of signals from one neuron to another neuron, it has been transmitted to a chemical composition called as neurotransmitters, that chemically called as acetylcholine. For so the third question, the option is C, that is acetylcholine. So next one, during the propagation of the nerve impulse, the action potential results from the movement of. So when the neurons are at a resting condition, so the sodium ions from the external media, it was entering into an internal media. whereas the K compositions, K plus composition, it was transforming outside. So here the option that has been given, the K plus ions from the external fluid to the internal fluid. Usually the K plus molecules they are present inside, not outside. So the second option, that is Na plus ions from the internal cellular fluid to external cellular fluid, K plus ions from internal cellular fluid to external fluid. Here the D option, that is Na plus ions that are present in the external cellular fluid into internal cellular fluid by the action of Na plus and K plus form by the help of expenditure of energy called as ATP. So for this the option is, answer is D, where Na plus ions that are present from the external cellular fluid they are transforming into intercellular fluid. So the next one, that is an Eustachian tube. So it is a region that was present in the middle ear. So where it was connecting the external ear with middle ear, external ear with internal ear, middle ear with pharynx, internal ear with pharynx. Usually the Eustachian tube, it has been extended towards the pharynx, that is from the middle ear. So the option was C. So next one, the sequence of meninges from the inner to outer side. The meninges, it has been externally covered by dura mater. So next one, arachnoid. Next one, subarachnoid space. So next one, it is a diameter. So here the question that has been given, the layer must be from inner to outside. So here dura mater, arachnoid, diameter. This is a sequence that was from outer to inner. So dura mater, diameter, arachnoid, it has been changes. Arachnoid, dura mater and diameter. The last option is diameter, arachnoid and dura mater. So diameter is the innermost layer, next to the arachnoid. The outermost layer is a dura mater. So for sixth question, the option correct answer is D. So next one. So in the given diagram, there is a lateral view of a human brain. It consisting of specific parts has been labeled by the letters, numbers. So choose the answer that correctly matched. So here the option 2, which is labeled as corpus callosum. So next to that, it consisting of thalamus. So this is a stalk-like structure called hypothalamus. So a gland called pituitary gland. So whereas the fifth one is cerebellum, the sixth one is brainstem, that is medulla region. So where the seventh one is pons. The specific answer that has been given for 5, that is called cerebellum. The sixth one is medulla. The seventh one is pons. For this, the options for 7 is A is the correct answer. So next one, 8. In the sectional view of human eye alphabets, A represents. So here, I consisting of, so it has been labeled by specific alphabets. A, it is an vitreous chamber. B, it is an lens. So D, it is an aqueous chamber. So C is a cornea. E is an iris. H, it is an layer, that is an innermost layer. G, it is an optic fibers. F, it is also an outermost layer. So here, in this option A, it has been constitutes an vitreous chamber that was present inside the retina. So for this, the eighth option, for 8th question, the option is vitreous chamber. So next question. So in the sectional view of an human ear, so identify the alphabets in the given diagram. So here, the A labeled composition, it is called as an ear, commonly called eardrum, that is an tympanic membrane. So B, it has been labeled with 3 bones called stapes, incus and malleus. They are together called as ossicles. And the C option, which is called as an cochlea. So we can conclude that the option in this is, so A is an tympanic membrane, B is an ossicles, C is an cochlea. So for this, the 9th answer is B option. So whereas next one, there is a diagram showing an axon terminal and the synapses is given. Identify the labeling correctly. So this is an axon terminal. A is an axon terminal. So B is an seminal vesicle. C is an seminal cleft. Sorry, synaptic cleft. So D is an receptor. E is an neurotransmitter. So here the option that has been given. A is an synaptic knob, but A is an there is a terminal region of an axon. B is a neurotransmitter, but B is a seminal vesicle. The C option is synaptic cleft. This is the correct option. So whereas the D is a receptor, so this is also a correct option. But again, A is not a synaptic vesicle. C is a synaptic cleft. So D is a neurotransmitter. E is a receptor. So for this, we can conclude that the diagram which consisting of C has been labeled as synaptic cleft, D is labeled as an receptor. So this is about topic today. So thank you, students.